Hey everybody, you're here because you'd like me to read you the story. I assigned this on Epic. You're able to go onto Epic and read it under your assigned books if you'd like, but I need you to take the quiz in here in Google Forms. But otherwise, here we go. Detecting disasters, detecting hurricanes. Here's the table of contents. So we got Hurricane Sandy. What's a hurricane? Into the storm, going higher tech. Rough zone, ready for the next storm. Hurricane Sandy. On the morning of October 29th, 2012, the National Hurricane Center gave the official report. The winds from Hurricane Sandy were approaching the coastlines of New Jersey, Delaware, and Virginia. People in the path of the deadly storm headed for shelter as the wind and rain began beating down. Sandy's fierce winds pushed water from the Atlantic Ocean to the shore. They also caused blizzard conditions in the mountains of Maryland and West Virginia. During the hurricane, a storm surge pounded the coastline. Major cities were flooded and bridges were closed. Millions of people lost power. 72 people in the United States died, along with dozens of people in the Caribbean. But it could have been even worse if residents had not been warned. Scientists use many methods to detect and follow hurricanes. Their early warnings to save lives. Forecasting hurricanes. There are 3 types of hurricane predictions. The first involves the likelihood a hurricane will form. Scientists predict the number of storms in a season based on past storms and climate. The second type of prediction involves hurricanes that have already formed. Scientists try to predict the paths the storms will take. The third involves how a hurricane's strength changes over time. Chapter 2. What's a hurricane? A hurricane is a type of tropical cyclone, which is a large swirling storm with strong winds. To form, it needs warm water and warm air. The water must be at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or 27 degrees Celsius. Hurricanes start to form when the warm, moist air above the ocean surface rises. More air moves into place. Then this new air becomes warm and moist, and it rises as well. When it rises high enough, the air cools off and starts to form columns of cumulus clouds. The air begins to spin, and the wind moves faster and faster around the center of the columns. Wind carries the storm across the ocean. The storm becomes even stronger as it moves over more warm water. Storms with winds blowing at least 39 miles per hour are called tropical depressions, but the winds can pick up speed. If they blow from 39 to 73 miles per hour, or 63 to 118 kilometers per hour, the storm is called a tropical storm. When the wind reaches speeds of 74 miles per hour, or 119 kilometers per hour, or higher, the storms become a hurricane. So in this chart, it says how strong is the storm. Here's the different categories, and it's basically categorized by the speed of the wind. Hurricanes can be 400 to 500 miles, or 640 to 800 kilometers, across and more than 50,000 feet, 15,240 meters high. The center of the storm, called the eye, can reach 12 to 30 miles, 19 to 48 kilometers wide. A ring of cumulus clouds swirls around the eye, forming the eye wall. The harshest winds and heaviest rains are found here. Less severe clouds and rain extend far from the eye wall. If a hurricane reaches land, it pushes a wall of ocean water ashore. This storm surge, combined with heavy rains, can cause massive flooding and damage. Hurricane Katrina's storm surge in 2005 was 28 feet high. In 2008, Hurricane Ike had a storm surge that was 20 feet high and moved them 30 miles inland. Chapter 3. Into the storm. Because a hurricane can cause a lot of damage and even loss of life, it's important that people know it's coming. That way they can prepare for the storm. But for many years, warning systems did not give people much time. Hurricanes were once reported by people on ships and on tropical islands. In the early 1900s, planes would set out to observe the weather and send in updates. They estimated wind speeds and direction based on the ocean waves. Then in 1943, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Duckworth took a plane directly into a hurricane. He was trying to prove that the plane was strong. But his actions also showed that planes could be used to study and track storms. Scientists could get more accurate estimations of the storm's position and intensity. After a hurricane hit Miami, Florida in 1945, the U.S. military created the Hurricane Hunter Squadron. The squadron's aircraft and crews still fly into hurricanes today. In 1950s, Hurricanes Carol, Edna, Hazel, and Diane hit the United States. Together they caused more than $1.5 billion in damage. Because of these storms, the U.S. Weather Bureau started sending research flights into hurricanes. After Diane, the U.S. Weather Bureau and the military joined together to use computers to forecast weather. The United States launched its first weather satellite in 1960. It could take pictures of hurricanes from space. As technology continued to improve, so did satellites. Today, satellites measure cloud and ocean temperatures, how fast rain falls, and how tall the clouds are. Scientists use all of this data to understand how hurricanes form. The data also helps them predict the strength of the hurricane and the path it will take place. Naming the hurricanes. Until early 1950s, hurricanes were identified by the year and order in which they occurred. This caused confusion when two or more storms were made landfall at the same time. So in 1953, the United States began using female names. By 1979, both male and female names were used. For Atlantic hurricanes, most names were reused every 6 years. If a storm is very costly or deadly, its name is not used again. Sandy and Katrina are among those retired names. Chapter 4. Going Higher Tech. As technology improves, so do the instruments scientists use to study hurricanes. The more scientists know about a storm, the better they can understand it. In the 1970s, two WP-3D Orion aircraft were built for research. They remain in use for several decades. By 2016, the planes had more scientific instruments, radars, recording systems than ever before. In 1982, the hurricane hunters used dropsondes for the first time. Planes dropped the instruments into Hurricane Debbie as it moved over the ocean. On the way down, the dropsondes measured the temperature, pressure, winds, and humidity. Scientists also used unmanned aerial vehicles to gather information. These remote-controlled planes can fly lower than regular planes. Scientists fly them into storm, collect data, then fly them out again. In 2006, scientists decided to fly a UAV into the tropical storm Ophelia until the fuel ran out. They did it again in 2007 with Hurricane Noel. Although UAVs were lost, scientists were able to gather valuable information about the storms. Dropsondes. Dropsondes is a package of instruments in a tube with a parachute on top. When the dropsonde is dropped from a plane, the parachute keeps it from falling too fast. On the way down, dropsondes take measurements every half second and send the information to the plane. Here's a little model. You can pause and look at it a little longer if you want. Chapter 5. Ready for the next storm. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th. The Eastern Pacific hurricane season runs from May 15th to November 30th. So every spring, meteorologists start giving the public estimates of how many storms there may be and how many are expected to make landfall. The National Hurricane Center is responsible for forecasting all tropical cyclones around North America. It uses computers to make predictions with the information it receives from aircrafts, satellites, and radar. Predicting a storm's path and intensity helps people prepare for it. Sometimes residents need to evacuate. The sooner people are warned, the more time they have to take action. Hurricanes are huge, dangerous storms. The better we understand them, the more people we can keep safe. By making accurate hurricane predictions, scientists help save many lives every year. Here's the safety list. So, you're supposed to trim damaged trees and secure loose rain gutters, bring loose objects inside, cover all your home's windows with either storm shutters or plywood cut to fit it, make a disaster supply kit with a flashlight, batteries, first aid supplies, and money, cash. Know where to go if you have to evacuate. Know the route to take and where to stay. If your area will not be evacuated, buy enough supplies for several days in case you lose water and power. Make a family emergency communication plan. Charge your cell phone in case you lose power. Turn your refrigerator or freezer to the coldest setting. If you lose power, your food will last longer. Check your television, your radio, or internet for weather updates and emergency instructions. Okay, so here's a glossary you can check out. You can pause and look at those definitions if you'd like. And here's some other resources you can check out if you enjoyed it. Okay, finished book. You're going to take the quiz on Google Classroom. Really proud of you. Hope you have a great day. We're building our nonfiction skills.